What's up, guys? In this video, I want to go over the top 3 mistakes that I see students make in precalculus, as well as go over how to fix them. I taught precalculus for many years inside the classroom, so I saw what it took for students to be successful in my class, as well as why students struggled. And I also struggled with precalculus myself. I earned a D in precalculus in high school, not proud of it, but I was able to go into college, retake the course, and end up earning an A. So I have a perspective from learning precalculus and struggling, as well as success from the student side, as well as from the teacher side. So I'm hoping I can take those insights and they will resonate with you. And if you are making these mistakes that I outlined in this video, you'll know exactly how to fix them. All right, let's go ahead and get into these. You'll exactly know how to fix them. So the first mistake that I see students make year after year is they walk into the precalculus classroom thinking that precalculus is just gonna be like algebra 2. Sometimes we dub it like algebra 3. And that is a big misconception that is going to cause you to struggle in precalculus. Here's the reason why. Precalculus is really, if you want to think about it, like the entry into upper level mathematics. Whereas algebra 2 is kind of more connected with algebra 1 and geometry and pre-algebra. Basically what we're doing is we're learning a concept and we are applying it to just multiple examples that are really related to each other. Whereas precalculus, we're focusing on a concept or an idea, and then we're going to apply it to multiple different variations, multiple different types of functions. And it becomes difficult for students because sometimes in algebra 2 and below, we have this step-by-step process. And if you can understand the step-by-step process, you just need to follow it. And so it's really kind of like, if you think about it like a robot, like it's like, here's what you do, and then do it. Whereas precalculus, you have to learn how to apply things. It's like understand the concept, and now we're going to apply it to all these different scenarios. And it's really difficult for students to be able to understand this and digest it and be able to actually implement it inside their class. I remember when I was teaching precalculus and, we were going over a concept and there's all these different examples I could have chosen. Well, obviously, even when a 90-minute class, I can only go over so many examples. And I remember a student rose their hand like, Miss McLogan, can you do more examples? And I told them it's physically not possible for me to do more examples on this. Like, you have to understand the basic concept of this, and then you have to learn how to apply it on your own. I get it. That is part of the struggle of precalculus. That's part of the struggle of going into upper level mathematics. But trust me, if you put in the work, you can be successful. So if you are one of those students that just thinks that, you have trouble being able to apply things to different scenarios in precalculus, here's exactly what you need to do. You need to put in more practice. And unfortunately, it's really the not most fun advice you probably want to hear. But that is the reality. You're going to get better by doing more practice problems. We're in algebra 2, when we're doing like practice problems, we're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And yeah, that has some merit. But in precalculus, when we have to apply things to many different types of functions, the more comfortable you are with different types of problems, the better you're going to be and the more deeply you're going to understand. So just don't rely on 1 or 2 examples and feel like you're good from your homework. Make sure you feel comfortable with your concept and applying it to multiple different variations. Now, the next mistake is probably one of my favorites to go ahead and talk about. And that is, if you are struggling, it's not the end of the world. See, precalculus is a math course that, yes, it is going to build on each other. When we talk about functions and polynomials and a lot of the concepts, they will come up, especially like trig. They will come up throughout in multiple different chapters. But the cool thing about precalculus is, again, it's that collection of topics. So while there's going to be this embedded understanding of some certain concepts, some rules, and some theorems, there's also going to be a lot of variation. And that's what I loved about precalculus, because I even remember when I was struggling in precalculus, I was like, man, I don't think I can go through, another chapter. Like, things were just not making sense to me. And then we went into like the law of sines, and it was completely different from everything else we were doing. And it was almost like this mental break. It was like this lifeline that I got. And I was able to recollect my thoughts, re-put in the work, get a good grade here. And it also allowed me more time to understand some of the previous concepts or previous topics that I was struggling with. And I can't tell you how many times when students entered in my classroom and they started struggling in chapter 1, which, yes, is an issue, right? We want to make sure that you understand all the content at the beginning of the course. But a lot of times, the reason why students are struggling is what I talked about in mistake number 1. They either weren't putting in the work or they were just needing more time to kind of understand the concepts for them to make sense. but they began to struggle and they wanted to get out of my class. And obviously every student and every situation is going to be a little bit different, but more often than not, I knew that the student was capable of being successful in my course, even though, and I'm telling you, some of them got D's and F's and they're like, no, I can't handle this, Miss McLogan. My GPA is going to go down. Like, you don't understand. I'm like, no, you can be successful in this course. We have to make some adjustments for you, but I know you can do it. And they would stay throughout the end of the year. And they ended up the year with A's and B's. And I'm telling you, there's probably no greater feeling that I had at the end of the year, meeting with those students, even like on graduation, and seeing that they were successful. Now, if you're one of those students that has struggled, you failed a test or you failed a quiz, and you kind of second guess, are you made for pre-calculus? Here's what I want you to do. Make sure you're putting in the work. All those students that got F's and D's and end up getting A's and B's, they put in the work, right? They also identified where they were making mistakes. So when you get back a test, when you get back a quiz, when you get back homework and you get problems wrong, make sure you hold yourself accountable for that information. Make sure you hold yourself accountable for that information, but also don't dwell on it. Learn from your mistakes and move on. That, in my opinion, is the beauty of pre-calculus. All right, now the last mistake that students will make is not spiral reviewing. And the reason why this is a mistake is because at the end of the year, you're going to have a test, right? There's going to be an end of the year exam. And one thing that we can probably agree upon with pre-calculus is there's a lot in it, right? It's more than Algebra 2, maybe not as much in calculus, but there's a lot of information and content that you need to know. So would you rather do 15 minutes every single day of reviewing stuff that you've already learned, or spending 8 hours the night before the test? I think we can all agree which is the better way to prepare for that end of course exam. It's definitely taking the time each and every day. Again, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, but just reviewing some problems. Don't let that information that either you understood at the beginning of the year or maybe even struggled with just go to waste and then wait another, 6-8 months to go ahead and go through that information again. No, that's not what you want to be able to do. Make sure that you are spiral reviewing every single day. Now, as a student, I never did this, but also to my credit, nobody ever told me to do spiral review. I didn't even know about spiral reviewing till I became a teacher. And I know a lot of students don't want to do it. It's more kind of extra work. It's not like you're getting credit for doing extra review, right? So why do it? Well, again, it's going to make your life better at the end of the year. It's also going to help you learn the information. But even with those great reasons, students would still not do it. So what I did as a teacher is I always, for every single homework assignment, always gave students like 2 or 3 problems as a spiral review. When we did quizzes, I gave them a couple of problems as spiral review. This was just my way of constantly inserting that older content so they could do their spiral review and also get a little bit of points. Now, if you don't have a teacher that gives you spiral reviews and you kind of have a hard time self-motivating yourself to just randomly find problems to review, then go back through your old tests, go back through your old quizzes, go back through your old homework. Just maybe pick one every single day and just go back and review those problems that you got right, as well as the problems you got wrong. If you really want to get the most out of it, then you probably should pick a couple problems and actually go back through the motions. But ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you, by the end of the year, if you do spiral review, you are going to be much more confident walking into that final exam. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the top 3 mistakes I see students make in pre-calculus. Which one of those mistakes was your favorite? Or maybe you liked some of the advice I had for those mistakes. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're looking for the math mistakes that I see students make in pre-calculus, I'll have that in the next video. Cheers.